Осенняя сессия парламентской
The autumn session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe has come to an end. It was a very important and productive session for Ukraine. 3 resolutions were voted unanimously: on Russian propaganda, on Ukrainian prisoners of war, and on the Holodomor. But let's break it down one by one. Propaganda and freedom of information in Europe. 117 votes in favor of this resolution. It in turn calls for the introduction of sanctions against Russian propagandists and the state media of the aggressor country.
Parliamentary Assembly has recognized things as they are, in particular the fact that there is freedom of speech, but there is also propaganda and disinformation. Russian propaganda is inciting war and calling for the genocide of Ukrainians, and here there must be a firm response from all the members of the Council of Europe. Of course, it would be much better for these propagandists not just to be sanctioned, but to be on trial, like the Nuremberg process, when the editor of the Nazi newspaper was convicted for actually inciting war.
The second resolution concerns Ukrainian prisoners of war, civilians and children. The debates and side events before the final vote lasted more than 1 day, in order to convey the international partners the terrible reality of Ukrainians in Russian captivity. Nariman Jalal, the first deputy head of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people, who had already been released from captivity, came to Strasbourg.
The main thing now is to deal with unwillingness of some European countries to notice the brutality and outright lawlessness that the Russian Federation is carrying out on Ukrainian territories. The current Russian authorities in general live in the paradigm of Stalinist times. There are many analogies here, including their attitude towards prisoners of war, extermination, shootings, gulags, and so on. And in a political way as well, they simply cannot think differently.
An important message in the resolution is to find mechanisms for the more active return of Ukrainian children deported by the Russian Federation. And what is very important is that the support of Ukraine's international partners in this regard is unwavering.
So it is very good that there are coordination also, bring it back Ukraine, visibility for that with the first ladies, and so much international help as needed needs to also be provided. So this is of course difficult when it's a Russian territory, but also successful stories have been read. Was it in the last week 40 more children, and so this is why as a parent I can think that everyone is a one child for a family. So I don't want to get missed with the big numbers, because every children returned is an important gift back for Ukraine.
In the end, the resolution was supported by all those present in the room, 74 votes in favor. The Ukrainian delegation was congratulated with applause.
The resolution has been adopted. It goes on to all member states of the Council of Europe, and we hope that they will take part in the pressure that needs to be put on Russia to release our captured civilians, to stop the abuse and torture of them, to force them to be treated as required by international law and conventions.
And we have been constantly trying to also analyze and formulate the legal consequences of this aggression. And of course, right now, the acute problem with POWs, also with civilian hostages, with the deported children, it's one of our core topics. We follow that very carefully.
The PACE also officially recognized the Holodomor of 1932-1933 as genocide of the Ukrainian people. The document states that the former Soviet leadership deliberately implemented the policy that led to the famine in Ukraine. To summarize, there was, is, and will be a lot of support for Ukraine in the Council of Europe. And since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it has only grown stronger. From Strasbourg, France, Oleg Borisov, Alexander Shkot, Pavlo Shtelmach, Anastasia Tarnavska, UATV News.